Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about the upcoming updates for Maximum Football. Is this going to be the run of updates that's going to get the game 100% back on track and all that jazz? Did a future update video over on the other channel. This is where I'm pretty much going to blab. We'll get into it, might get off on a tangent, who knows. But first off, the one thing that they talked about was pre-snap reads coming to the game. In the next update, you'll be able to select any of your DBs on the field, put them into whatever zones you want to. You'll be able to put them on a QB spy, zone flat, curls, soft flat, all that stuff. So you can finally defend against those pesky routes in Maximum Football. Some of them aren't so bad now with the locomotion that's been added to the game, and also the more fluid movement on defense. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking specifically about against the CPU franchise mode, dynasty mode. Shame on me for saying franchise mode, but dynasty mode, not MPL online play, because that's just a whole another can of worms in itself. MPL is dying a death by 1,000 slices. Personally, I haven't played MPL in probably about a month. The game's in no condition to even be trying to compete online right now. But anyways, let me get back on track. The next thing that they're coming with in this upcoming update is the ability to change your uniform pre-game. Before, it was whatever your team's default uniform was, that's what you were going in as, unless you went in and changed up your default uniform, because you couldn't do it just by selecting the extra uniform that you made and setting that. So it was wild. No, it was honestly just crazy. But now you'll be able to, before the game, go in and go through your different uniforms that you have and select what you want your team to look like, which is awesome, because there's plenty of times when I've been in my dynasty and I just did not feel like changing my default uniform from week to week. So that is a much needed update. I'm sure a lot of people are going to love that. So let's get into the next things that they really talked about in the Monday mailbag, not Monday, but monthly mailbag. And they talked about the locomotion overhaul. And you can see this by how players move. I'm not a big fan of the crazy swinging arms, but the way that they actually feel on the field is a lot better, as far as the running game. There's some complaints that I've seen people talk about the guards are OP, and I do see that to an extent. Usually how I get the corners, a lot of people say they can't run outside anymore. It's don't hit the trigger button until you see that guard shed and he starts coming your way, then you pull down on your little boost and you'll get around the edge on it. That's what I've been doing. But I can see on a lot of tosses where that guard's getting there way too fast. It's all right sometimes for a guy to get beat, but that does need toned down a lot. So I feel you guys on that one. Not 100%, but I do feel you on that one. The defense of tackles just beating the shit out of your offensive guards is ridiculous. Also, I seen in the comments where somebody was talking about that they really need to get hurry up offense in the game. And that is, man, that's so on point, because it takes you out of the immersion when you get to the end of the game and like the clock's ticking, you have no timeouts left and you're just spamming the button, and then boom, boom, those big screens taking you all out of the immersion of it. So they need to have hurry up offense where I can just get, right into it. Another suggestion that I have seen is where people were saying that I don't need to see that big crash screen until it is third down. So, first down, keep me immersed on the field. Second down, keep me immersed on the field. Then it's third down. Then you can have that screen that comes and alerts you that it is third down. That's better use of those transitions. Got off on a tangent. Back to the locomotion and player movement. I want to see a little bit more diversity in the way that players' stances are. it bothers me a little bit when I just look and I see all my DBs in the same stances. Let's get a little bit of variety. I'm sure that's something that they're adding in. I want to see player-specific animations. I want linebackers to have their own set of animations as opposed to a DB's set of animations. So there is some crossover, but they all should have their own that differentiate them from everybody else on the field. And they talked about this a couple months ago. I'm pretty sure Mike was still with them. The QB movement, that really needs overhauled. Like, your passing game will seem so much smoother if my quarterback's just not going from one motion to the next when he's getting ready to throw the ball. It just looks weird. It's not like in varsity where you can tell your guy he's pulling up. It's kind of like a nice little pull up and he kind of throws a floater. They have that, and that's something that Maximum really needs to focus on because that's the main person that you're controlling on the offensive side of the ball. I don't understand why that wouldn't be that one main point of focus to get looking right, is how the quarterback moves in the pocket. All this locomotion stuff is great, but please fix the QB throwing animations and give us a variety of throwing animations that actually apply to the situation that the quarterback is in. So also, the one thing in the monthly mailbag that I was shocked by was there 6 versus 6, and they talked about 11 versus 11. And that was something we had covered over on SG and Hub years ago. And it was one of the first things that came out about Maximum Football, which has kind of intrigued me into the game even more because I've always seen that as the next step in a football game. And also at that same time, ESG was in development. I hadn't really heard that much about ESG, to be honest. I only really found out about ESG, I want to say, a little bit before we did that video. Somebody had brought it up to me. I didn't know what exactly it was until probably a couple months later after we did that video. But anyways, Maximum is not really in a state to talk about doing that. Like, way back when they talked about it, and I would have just let it go away, because from what I'm playing now, and if this is, I'm sure it's an upgrade from where the game was almost 3 years ago, that shouldn't even have been a conversation that was on the table. Maybe long-term goals. But right now, in all reality, that mode is way off. They got a lot of stuff to fix. They also have another mode to introduce. A lot of people want franchise, and I'm one of those people. I want franchise and I want college, both together. No other game has had that, where I can have my pro franchise, I can recruit players from my college dynasty that I had, and it just really builds an interesting universe. And even more if this is made into an online thing where I can have an online dynasty and an online franchise. That makes for a very immersive world for people to participate in, to have fun in. I used to be a big fan of the Madden CFMs, and they just showed them no love. They went all towards, ultimate team. And I don't think they realized that they had a diamond there if they would have just kept on feeding the franchise players. I mean, if you want to paywall it, like I've always been saying, have era packs, have like different uniforms, even go as far as like the camera grain, so you can make it look like it's a 1940s game or a 1950s game. Give me classic teams, give me classic players. A lot of you guys might not like it, but if it's behind a paywall and the base game is free, but all of that is what I have to put money out for, I'm okay with it. Give me, all the different stadiums. Now, you're going to have your fictional world. So you can come up with like crazy type stadiums, like, I'm even thinking about how Madden could have done it. They could have done all the classic football all the teams' classic stadiums. They could have did all their classic uniforms, and those could have been behind a paywall. The hell, they could have made their game free and made a ton of money off of that alone. People like franchise. Yes, there's online crowd that likes MUT, but there's also that crowd that just loves franchise. If you ever looked at probably how many people are participating in franchises, I mean, the number's huge. And the reason why people lose interest is because they're never adding anything new to franchises, as different stadiums, different teams from different eras, different uniform styles from different eras. So all these different CFMs would have their own unique twist that made them feel their own, not like, in Madden, every online franchise is pretty much carbon copy. Some have rules and points that they add to players and all that. But anyways, got way off on that one. Maximum needs to concentrate on that. That is in my opinion, that's their bread and butter right there. That's where the money is to be made. So if they can find some way to kind of not make MPL go away, but kind of like fade it to the side and get their focus back on franchise. And, you do have to look at it from a money standpoint. How can we monetize franchise mode? Give people the best possible experience for free. Okay, let people get in the game. Give them a lot of customization. Give them many seasons, give them at least 4 start out with their season tickets, and let them see the possibilities. Have a store that has a constant rotation of cool stuff that makes people want to invest and play franchise. If you have different field types, stadium types, different designs for crowds, chants, announcers, all that stuff you can monetize, and people will pay for it. Somebody wants that in their game, they will pay for it. It's just your job to research and find out what the people want. And I think it's been kind of loud and clear that the people that put their weight behind Maximum Football wanted a game grounded in franchise, grounded in dynasty mode, and take your steps to online from there. Nobody really wanted MPL. I think that really hurt the product when they released it. And there's always a road back to redemption. It appears that they are on the correct path. The segue into the next thing, they really need to get online team share and roster share up. So a lot of friends and people that have been waiting to actually play together, they can at least go head to head until they get their franchise mode in place. After that, I don't know how long it's going to take them or how complicated it would be to make online dynasty and online franchise, because I think that literally would help out their numbers also tremendously. But they have a lot of stuff on their as I'm looking away here, on their 2025 roadmap that they need to accomplish. They talked about weather, and at first, weather is not going to have any impact on the game as far as like if it's snowing, your guy's going to slip. If it's raining, you might be more prone to fumble the ball. So it will all be just pretty much just eye candy, no impact on the game. In my opinion, what I think that they're going to do once it gets around Christmas time, that's when I would expect if there is going to be any effect given to the snow. So that's about 9 months away. If the game's not at that point, 9 months away, then we should start ringing the alarm, honestly. But I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. But that's what I would expect. That's just my opinion. Don't take it as gospel. But I would get that out, sometime, around summer. You want to have stuff to counteract what's going to be going on with EA college football. So you want to have a big overhaul, something that's going to make a statement, and it should most likely be out before college football. So I don't know what that would be for Maximum, but it needs to be something that's going to bring their base, their fan base back. They shouldn't be looking to overtake or be anywhere. They need to retrieve their base of players. This game really had a lot of steam starting out. Fumbled on release, and I always say, you never have a second chance to make a first impression, so it is what it is, but you have to win your base back. That would be my advice to them out there. If you don't take care of these bugs now and you don't get things looking right, it's very hard to back engineer a product that you think is going to last for a long time. Development teams are going to change. People are going to cycle in and cycle out. So you really want to nail all these things down so you have a solid base to build from. But I think I've been yapping enough. For all you guys who are interested in our Maximum high school football universe that we're waiting on pretty much a lot of these things that I talked about, mostly team share and roster share, so we can get our universe up and going, because honestly, once team share and roster share is available, they already have Play a Friend. We're going to kind of start, I would say, the preseason of our high school football universe, get things mapped out, find out how we're going to do it. But there is a link to the Discord. I'll put it in the comments of this video here. I hope you guys enjoy the sims that I have going on the channel. If you have a high school football team that you want to see featured in a sim, or if you want to go against my old high school, which I'm also running a little series, it's called Warrior Dynasty. We're on episode 4, but if you want to challenge that squad, drop it in the comments. We can get a whole bunch of fun banter going back and forth. Definitely make sure you join the Discord. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. And anytime that there is a video that I do on Maximum over on SGN Hub, I'll also do a blather on this channel about it, just to go a little bit more in detail for those who want to hear it. I know a lot of over on the other channel, just give them the facts. But here's where I blab, and us old people do what we do. But until next time, it's been Smokin' Jay, and I will see you on the field.